What's up and welcome to Champions of Lore, a show all about the kick-ass stories behind some of Idle Champions' coolest campaigns and characters. Every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games or later on your favorite podcast service, B. Dave Walters and Erin M. Evans talk about all the Idle Champions lore that's fun to know about. If you're here with us live in the chat, you can leave a question that I, Treavor Bettis, will ask them later in the show. But until then, Erin, B. Dave, I practiced that in the shower this morning and still messed it up. Take it away.
Can always roll a one, brother.
Just means you're human.
Yeah, no, that was a 10 on your performance check. You got there. You got
thank
there.
you. I'll take a 10.
Makes
Yes.
you endearing.
Mm-hmm. After you, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Erin M. Evans. I'm the author of the Brimstone Angels Saga, a 6-book series set in the Forgotten Realms that follows Frida and Havilar, two of your favorite tiefling champions in Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. I also play Cecilia on Dungeon Scrawlers.
I would like to share with you all. I logged in, and the first words I said was, "Oh my God, you look so pretty!" And she's like, "But me or Trevor?" And I'm like, "Both."
Yeah, I put on a button-up shirt today.
I'm
y'all.
like,
I- It's warm enough in my house now that I don't need a sweater. It's fine.
Hey man, that hair
Let's be
didn't make
real.
that hair didn't do itself. I see, Trevor. I notice. I notice the little things. You know what I mean? Like, but I see what you're doing here for us. Thank you. Oh yeah, me, B. Dave Walters. I do that thing you just saw me doing. I'm also going to be the dungeon master of Idle Champions Presents, starting next Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific. So we'll be starting with the Unfair Seas with this lovely lady, Erin M. Evans here. We will also have Christina Ariel, Mark Meir, Vivid Vidka, and a Vivid Vivka, and a guest who I don't think has been revealed yet, so I'm not gonna, so I don't get in trouble. But yeah, it's gonna be a grand old time. Yeah, and also I do other D&D stuff. Yeah.
Also,
very excited and
in
nervous.
connection to
It'll
that, you know, you all out there in the chat and listening, you may want to look at the social feeds tomorrow because there may be some things that you can influence coming up that might be there. Keep an eye out.
Maybe you might recall that was when we talked about this last week. If you joined us last week, welcome back. If you didn't, hi, welcome aboard. What we were saying that you will be able to influence the events of the stream, and the stream will influence the game. So there's going to be some opportunities for you guys to answer some questions, make things known. You're going to get to name some NPCs. You're going to get to help adjust the difficulty of some of the monsters, decide whether or not they're going to encounter some things. Yeah, so it's going to be an interactive transmedia experience.
Also, terribly shameless plug, but if you want to hear him talk about more of it, we had B. Dave on difficulty class last week. So if you go over onto that podcast feed, you can hear me and my co-host, Allie Deichman, talk with B. Dave about the show and also some other fun stuff.
You know, if it's a plug for a plug, what even is that? Didn't it
I
go
don't
to
know,
callback
like
at
that-
point? Like,
It's a meta plug?
yeah, meta plug.
Meta
Yeah.
plug.
See, now it's a callback, and everybody loves callbacks.
It makes them feel like they're in the know.
That's true. Yeah, you trust me.
I'm just excited to find out if Havilar gets a really cool pirate outfit, like with lots of feathers and ribbons, maybe a parrot.
Maybe a parrot.
I don't know if the parrot and the imps will get along, but
Here's the challenge with that. If that happens, it means I have to have something happen where her whole outfit gets destroyed, and that usually comes in the form of fireballs. So whatever, you know, like this.
whatever. She has fire resistance as a tiefling. It'll be fine.
Yeah, no, it'll be fine.
True.
Jay also suggests plugged squared.
Yeah. Looks weird. It's true. Yeah. It's the Omni plug.
Yes.
The only plug. Yes.
That's only if Mark Meir's involved.
I get him on the phone. Do not tempt me.
So this week we got an update coming to Idle Champions, which I can't think of words. Words are weird this morning. As the title says, we're talking about the Chonky Boy, who is coming to Idle Champions this week. Not B Dave.
No.
Though it would be amazing if they just had B Dave. Like
Surprise.
it wasn't.
That was the
Yeah.
It wasn't anybody else. It was
Awesome
just it wasn't his
See.
character.
Dave Walters.
That's
D.
Dave
Dave
Walters.
Walters.
Yeah, it's just like my little figure is like twice the size of the other figures, but that's it. Otherwise, that's the thing I got. You know, reach. Just walk around, and I can cast vicious
Also-
mockery.
You're so charming. They don't want to hit you.
Oh, thank you. I can verify that is not the case. It's just I wouldn't have trained, spent all this time training in the martial arts if people didn't occasionally
Fair.
swing at me. Trust me, yes. Yes, but we got a big old chunky boy today.
There are a few other things that are coming to the game as well, but let's just let's start with the big boy. And I meant to get like it able so I could just put it in onto the screen, but for viewers, this is what we're dealing with here. This
Chardalyn dragon.
Chardalyn dragon.
He a big boy. I remember. I actually remember when the mini for this, mini in bunny ears, got showed off, and because it got showed off with the adventure that it's part of with Rhyme the Frost Maiden, and I'm just like, how is that involved in this? I don't really care because I just want him. I want to hug him.
Just tell me.
I mean, that mini does look like a hubcap, though. It's true. The Whiz Kids Chardalyn dragon. Yeah, it's like you just got a platter. Yeah. Also, this week's update is Icewind Dale Part 4, and shout out to Mighty Trovis, my homie. I don't know if you saw, like right when we were going live, I'm sitting here and I'm like, Icewind Dale, Trovis, and then the camera goes up. I'm like, oh. Never mind.
Next time.
He's keeping watch over there.
Yeah, that's the snowdrift. That's what
that is. That is the snowdrift. Now it shall be known is that he's guarding this lich thing to make sure no one comes for this head or eye. Left in the snow. You know
that gif of George Clooney just kind of slowly coming up over the hedge. Like I want to just put Trovis's face over it.
Back there in my D&D shrine, the Mighty Trovis sleeps underneath. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's start off with it. And we've talked about Chardalyn a bit on our previous Icewind Dale episode, but as a refresher, why don't we talk about that a little bit? Also, Erin, you learned a little bit more about it over the weekend.
And I learned one reason why I was so confused last time. We got a lore hole, boys.
Lore hole!
All right, so originally in like 2nd edition, Chardalyn is a stone, an ore, I think. No, we just call them stones that are used to store spells. Humans discovered them in the ancient Netherese Empire, and even before that, they were known by one of the progenitor races, the Saruk, which is a very interesting deep dive. Snake people with magic rocks. Actually, the rocks themselves aren't magic. They just have a strong affinity to magic. So here's the thing that I find interesting. The description for Chardalyn originally is that, it's naturally occurring, and it is sort of black oval-shaped rocks that are extremely frangible. They're brittle. You can throw them at a wall and they shatter. Once they shatter, the spell that you stored inside them comes out, so you can do lots of interesting things with that. They're components for various like massive spell rituals that the Netherese Arcanists put together, which I think is great fun. And there's also stuff where you have like heroes that put them in their shields and load them with fireball. So it's like, right? Like that's pretty delightful.
Cool. Well, it's funny because when you think of them as like, mystical hand grenades, but I still think of like loading them with things you wouldn't expect. Not even stuff just like stinking cloud, but like good berry. You're like, boosh, and berries. You're like, what?
No, like I love the idea of just chucking this rock at a friend's head to heal them.
That's true, right? It's like 1 damage from the rock, but it's still like greater healing.
The dagger of healing.
Isn't that just a scalpel?
No, I don't know. I don't know if it's been a joke anywhere, but my co-host Allie Deichwood, she had a dagger of healing in her game where it stabbed you for 1d4 and healed you for 1d6.
That's delightful.
So I can see something
also,
like that with
the Chardalyn. I can imagine
super
annoying. But yeah. Okay, so they originally, when this was released in the 2nd edition, these are extremely expensive. They're rare. They're destroyed when they're used. Nether will obviously churn through a bunch of them. So they're like, I think, let's see, 20,000 gold pieces, right? Then we add in gem magic. You have other options. They drop in price. I love this kind of thing where you have a shifting economy based on stuff you've added to the game. It's delightful.
I will say also, 2nd ed, 20,000 gold was a lot of gold. With a lot of gold.
Yeah. Okay, so we have that. on the one hand. The Chardalyn that's in Rhymer the Frost Maiden is connected to the Crystal Shard and the destruction of the Crystal Shard. Now, the Crystal Shard did create this stuff that came out of it. In the game, it was originally called Black Ice. This has similar properties. And I found a reference that Ed Greenwood said it's the same thing. Just swipe the name. But here's the thing I think is interesting. So that is magically created. That is not a naturally occurring rock, one.
Okay.
But two, the more important thing, when you look at stuff like, I'm going to try to say his name and I'm going to fail. Zardarok.
Oh, Zardrock? Yeah.
Yeah.
Zordok.
Chonky Boy's father,
Chonky
creator,
Boy's father.
builder. Because it is, the Chardalyn dragon is a construct. So that's one thing. But also, he's got Chardalyn. Everything he's got a Chardalyn. Like breastplate, he's got Chardalyn. Crown. How do you make something out of a rock that shatters if you throw it at a wall? Like, not even like I got my pickaxe out. And now it's something that's very hard and durable. Like, this is a big shift.
A lot of free time and some patience.
Yeah.
No, my first answer is spell plague, messed up stuff.
Ooh.
On the atomic level.
I do want to go back real quick, though. When you said Chonky Boy's father, all I could see in my head was this Duragar reaching his hand out. No, Chunk, I am your father.
I mean, I feel like it goes with his backstory, right? Because he's got 9 children and 7 of them are dead. He's a mourning father, and then he creates this dragon, and maybe it's filling a hole in his heart.
See, it's funny. I went a different place there. He's like, he had 9 children, 7 of them are dead. Also, he's a researcher with one of the most mystically unstable compounds in Toril. So, you know, that he's all like, I got it. Boom. I don't got it. You know, so, but imagine what if his stuff like actually isn't very effective at all. It's just, he's got like, it's loaded with like stone skin or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, boom, bang, bang. It's like right back. Yeah. Or the Chardalyn dragon is just super fragile and everybody's so scared no one's checked.
I also really enjoy that because there is this part of me that's like, okay, you've made an entire construct out of this stuff that's supposed to be just, I mean, it breaks the slightest touch. And then you can't do anything with the dust is the other thing. Like the Netheries put a lot of effort into figuring out like, what do we do with this dust? And the answer was throw it away.
That's my level of extra. Like I look at like Vecna and stuff, or Aslan and liches and all that. I'm like, but I took the time to make a dragon out of this ultra rare, ultra difficult thing just to stunt on people. That is my level of wizard extra.
Oh my God.
That's the way I'd go.
They're the nerd that's like, no, I don't have a PC. I built my Linux thing from scratch.
Yeah, like soldered the boards.
My Linux thing will run World of Warcraft because I was bored.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is he's like a hipster, a Chardalyn hipster. He's got like a Chardalyn ascot, which is also improbable. You're like, how did you even do that?
He's got a friend right over here. I don't have any
other hobbies.
It's true. Can I introduce you to my chonky son? You know, my one child that won't leave. Sorry, yes, Aaron. Please proceed with our tour of the Chardalyn. Is it Chardalyn or Chardalyn?
I think it's Chardalyn.
I think it is Chardalyn.
Actually, that's a good point. I've been saying Chardalyn and I never checked pronunciation.
Here we go.
Also, the Durgar's name is Zordor Rock.
Gazoon tight.
Yep,
Zordor
exactly.
Rock. Okay.
It is Chardalyn.
I know why he's so preoccupied with this. He's a Durgar. He's a friggin' dwarf. He's got to do something worthy.
That look, by the way, that was for Garwar. That was 100% for Garwar. Straight into his eyes.
Search your feelings, Garwar. You know it to be true.
Okay, so the lore has changed a little bit. So it's no longer a naturally occurring thing. So it's kind of finite, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, because that's, you know, spoiler alert. That's one of the inciting incidents of Rime of the Frost Maiden. Why some of them are up there doing what they're doing is they have access to this stuff. Yeah, it definitely is like again, kids, back in the old days, back in second edition, where you had 1d4 hit points and that was it. And one spell. had to make it through your entire adventuring career, hoping
I
to
used
level
to
up
roll
someday.
skill checks uphill both ways.
It's true. I mean, is that not what Thaco is? If you think about it, is that not calculating skill checks both ways?
I love it.
But you know, there was like things like, you know, Electrum, which never really like came up terribly, but I mean, there were these like rare things that you could get on occasion, usually at the high end of the game. And so to have Chardalyn as like a stand-in for these old highly precious things that now even like OG enemies, like the we go through the how to say Duergar every time. Duergar. Yeah.
Embrace the chaos.
Embrace the chaos.
Creepy dwarves. Yes.
Here we go. Creepy dwarves.
To have them want to come back and work so hard to get this stuff, I think is great, because it's kind of like in my mind, it's almost like if you know, gold is a thing, but gold is hard to come by. But suddenly, if you found out there was like an explosion in Alaska, and then suddenly there was like gold everywhere, like literally everywhere, I mean, I'd probably sneak up there and try and get my hands on it too, and then also make a dragon construct out of it, which again, so delightfully extra. Because by definition, he could have made a construct out of anything. He could have made a 50-foot dwarf if he wanted. No.
Gotta be a dragon.
A
and
big old
chunky dragon.
A chunky dragon with just a dump truck backside dragon. Like a Pixar mom.
Dump truck dragon needs stats now.
It's already got him. It's the Chardalyn dragon. Yep.
Oh, that's delightful.
Okay, was there any other parts for Chardalyn that we wanted to touch on before moving to some other baddies?
I mean, in general, it sort of dives into some Netherese deep stuff, and basically, this is a thing they built mines for, but all the ones that are known are exhausted, conveniently, so it's extra rare. But you know, if you wanted in your game to somehow come across a vein of Chardalyn, that would cause a lot of problems in the world. But it is available. And again, positing Spell Plague does things on an atomic level and changes the properties. I think that could happen anywhere. And then you can build a Chonky Boy.
It's, you know, that's one of those things. It's like, what is more or less probable? The construction of your own Chonky Boy, or somehow managing to like co-opt the Chardalyn dragon and like essentially reprogram it, you know? Like,
that's a wonderful question, and I genuinely don't know the answer.
Magic. You know,
it has magic resistance, and it doesn't take any kind of shape changing magic, right? Like it repels all of that.
Yep.
Spoiler maybe.
But you know, maybe it's the power of friendship, you know? Maybe
there you go.
Hey, look, if it worked on Tiamat, it can work on the Chardalyn
dragon. My dad doesn't really love me. He's having a hole in his heart. No one listens to me.
You know, it's like, come on, man. It's like your dad is over here going through children like you know, like disposable work aprons, you know? I think if somebody were to just give the Chardalyn dragon ear scritches, just go full Puff the Magic Chardalyn dragon. Right? There's something here, folks. There's something here. I'm telling you. To try it at your table. Your results may vary. Your DM might also just have you get breath weaponed. But I think it's worth a shot.
I'm also now sitting over here going, how have I of all people not made a dragon with daddy issues? Good God.
That is my gift to you there, Treavor. You are welcome.
Oh, I want to let you know, by the way, someone on my stream on Friday night put Treavor in the chat. Just capitalize the A.
Word is spreading.
If you're here. That was you.
Hey, they spell your name right, though, didn't
they? They did. Can't knock against that.
A slight tangential thing here that is still related. It's to my Oh, I just answered my own question. I was going to say that I don't know that they ever like have dove like super deep into the Netherese and like what really what happened with them. But I remember I had a second edition box set.
Box set.
I had the box set.
The box set is controversial.
Well, it's funny. Before I moved, the box set set next to my bed, so that's why it just appeared in my mind. Where I have no idea where it is in the sea of boxes over there. But yeah, that is true. That's
second book, Lesser Evils, involves finding a hidden library of a Netherese Arcanist, and there's a kind of a ghost thing that kind of gives them visions. Oh no, sorry, that's not where they find out stuff. They have his diary. So I went through that box set, and Arcanists are Netheril was this empire that full of wizards, but they get called Arcanists for some reason. But it lets people know what you're talking about.
They did it before it was cool. That's why.
Right? So basically you had High Netheril, which were these floating cities that these different Arcanists had, where they worked on these crazy ass spells. And then you had Low Netheril, which was like all the common people living below. And the wizards flew too close to the sun and started messing up stuff. And you have Karsus, who was one of these Arcanists who tried to make himself a god. And Mistra went, no. And I think that might have started the collapse, but I'm actually suddenly not 100% sure. But I do know that whatever went down, the only city that escaped it was Tulfantar, which returned to the realms as the City of Shade, because they'd all bopped to the Shadowfell, basically, and were slowly warped by it. And so when they came back, they were all shadow people.
Also, the City of Shade is where I need to live.
I was about to say, like, I will never not giggle at that.
It's aptly named, right? Yeah, it's funny too, because I get that it is, the cautionary tale, the quasi-Atlantean stand-in, all of this has happened before and will happen again. But it's like all of the things that the Netherese were like so terrible for having done, like 5 or 6 people have done since then, that they were just like smote by the gods. And then Vecna's like, nobody tell them. Yeah.
Nobody tell them.
Yeah, right? Yeah. They're like, no, it's cute when you become a god, not those jerks.
To be clear, I think, looking real quick back, because this was something where I'm like, I had this in my brain at some point, but it's not accessible. It sounds like what the actual mess up was specifically was that Karsus said, I'm gonna be a god of magic, and he broke the weave doing that. And that's when Mistra came down and said, because Mistra is the goddess of magic. Mm-hmm. She is very permissive in a lot of ways. Everybody should get to use magic, but there's a point where heck no. So yeah, she slapped that down, and then it kind of triggered a.
You can't mess it up for everybody. Like you can be invited to the buffet, but if you get caught putting your fingers in the mashed potatoes, bro. No. Yeah, now your empire's got to get wiped out. That's what's got to happen now. Yeah.
This wouldn't have happened if you just used the spoon.
That's true, right? Can you imagine that also, that you're like, yay, we're the best wizards ever. And they're out here like in their like wizard toga parties and everything, and Mistra's just like, my sweet summer children.
Wizard toga parties are officially canon in my world. So
you've seen how those guys dress.
Yeah. So we've got some other baddies that are coming. Duragar are in there, or Duergar, whichever. Oh, B-Dave's got a thought.
My very favorite monster, inexplicably, is in this release here.
I'm really hoping it's what I think it is.
I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you, probably. It's an Umber Hulk.
It is! I love Umber Hulks! Oh my god! I literally just got an Umber Hulk mini finally, because I'm like, I love these guys!
I believe we've had our like bizarre Umber Hulk like tangents before. I don't know why. From the beginning.
They're just cool.
Like your son with the angry Balgoa, just something about Umber Hulks just lodged in my brain when I was young and never left. They're aren't they like 8 foot?
Yeah,
aren't they really
they're big boys. Fits into the Chonky Boy right there. It is another Chonky Boy.
It's Chonk recognizes Chonk. they're these huge, almost insectoid humanoids. They got these huge, freaky big claws. They can burrow, like they can swim through the earth, and they've got eyes that cause madness if you look at them. Because why wouldn't a subterranean burrowing creature have that? Yeah.
That is the eyes that cause madness is one of my favorite things about it, because like I when we were running games at a bookstore, we once did one where me and the other DM just threw all the players into one big arena, and we just had 2 Umber Hulk show up and point towards each group. And everyone's like, "Oh, cool, an Umber Hulk." I'm like, "They don't remember their stats." I need everyone to roll some saves.
Yeah.
I feel like we should just go on a tour of great chunky monsters now.
You know, that we should dedicate an entire episode to that.
The chunk.
You know, the chunkiest ones, because there's a few of them. There's a few of them there.
I do want to say that in the email we got about what is coming in this update, the specific line is a random Umber Hulk, because why not? Dylan gets it.
They're you know, it's like the inciting incident of like half the Bugs Bunny cartoons where he digs up 'cause he took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. Like, you're just chilling in 10 towns and just
Yep.
Madness eyes, Hypnotoad. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna read the first paragraph from the wiki page. Umber Hulks were 4-eyed monstrosities who lived deep under the earth. Their massive claws tunneled through rock with ease, and their thick armor was almost as strong as full plate. That's terrifying.
Yep. No, they were one of the roughest monsters at like relatively low levels in second edition, because you know most of the game took place at relatively low levels. And they're not unintelligent, by the way. People think they're just bugs, but it's like they're not actually. They have at least a passing intelligence. That I don't know why. It's just, again, always love those things. Always love those things. And if you're familiar with the open gaming license and things of that nature, like the Umber Hulks are one of the monsters that are expressly D&D. Like, you can't use them. Like Beholders, Umber Hulks, Mind Flayers. They got Displacer Beasts. It's a relatively short list, but like they are a quintessentially Dungeons and Dragons creature, not just, you know, fantasy role playing. Yeah. So happy to have them show up and be like improbably strong.
I was trying to say, oh wow, I'm gonna go ahead and recommend this wiki page. They go into its diet.
I mean, isn't the diet like you?
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna read this first sentence. Umber Hulks would feed on purple worms.
Dang!
Wow!
I told y'all I love these things.
Where's my purple worm? Where's my?
Yeah.
That's another Chonky Boy.
I mean, wait a minute. You're gonna get us bounced off of Twitch.
Shut up.
Don't ask your parents, kids. Yeah. But if you think about it, you know, it's like, so now in my mind, we got part of our continuing cinematic universe here.
Mm-hmm.
We got Dune, but it's all underground, and the sandworms are purple worms, but like the humans are all Umber Hulks.
Oh my god. See, one of these days we got to start writing down this Champions of lore, so that one day we can just run an actual play game where we're playing in the lore of this lore.
Call it Yo Dog Yo. I heard you like lore. Sorry, Aaron, you were about to say something. Sorry, when I mentioned Dune.
I was just thinking, like, you're playing a game, right? This purple worm pops out, and then these Umber Hulks pop out and attack it. And you're like, oh, good.
Not all good. Mm-hmm. Well, it's like we were talking about last week with Chult, how there's the random encounter in Chult of the Tyrannosaur covered in zombies. You know,
like,
it's a purple worm covered in Umber Hulks. See,
again,
like, y'all.
Oh
y'all
my
know
god!
I'm that extra that I will mark my words, chat friends. I will run a game where they are underground just so I can have a purple worm, Umber Hulk laden purple worm, like bust through a tunnel there. It'd just be everybody's problem.
I am suddenly so glad this game that's coming up, The Unfair Seas, is presumably not underground.
Don't test me, Dave. He'll find a way.
He's like, guess what? There's an ocean underground. It's unfair. That's how they're in the title.
That's it. No, they're burrowing creatures. Okay. Like you're on the ground again. The chances of being killed by a purple worm are always low, but never zero.
Oh, I wonder if there are like semi-aquatic purple worms that like live on the
God,
ocean
that's
floor
terrifying.
and then come up.
I hate it.
I mean, like you wouldn't probably know because I don't think that the seafloor of Toril is well explored, but
it's speaking about our own personal lore. When I was writing Dungeons and Dragons: A Darkened Wish, when I was first like still pitching the story to IDW and we were still working on it, I made the statement I could write a comic about anything, including a submarine full of goblins.
Oh God, dang it!
Oh,
and then I stopped.
That.
And then I stopped, and I was like, now I must write a comic about a submarine full of goblins.
That sounds delightful.
So it became that is why that exists. That's what that was born from. With the goblin submarine. And I was like, no, I gotta do this. And I was like, I don't know if they're gonna let me. I don't know if they're gonna and I researched, and there is one canonical submersible. It is a magic item from 2nd edition. In the moment that I was like, yeah, it's a thing though.
Like, you guys did it. I'm just following up.
It's a thing, you know. And if you're gonna say that like the goblins are incapable of duplicating it, then that's just racist. So that was the birth of the goblin submarine. That is where it came from. Yeah. So you mentioned like the seafloor being unexplored, and I'm like, some of it along Moonshine.
Well, you know, I guess people should listen to goblins because they could tell you.
It's true. You know, that's which is funny. For whatever reason, my disdain for the small folk misses goblins. I don't know why. Even I don't know why. I can't tell you the logic behind it.
Wait. Question: how do you feel about gnomes?
So I don't know if I've told you guys this story with the gnomes, because I used to be very anti-gnome too. I was anti all the small folk. Again, I was a small folk. I'm not interested in doing that again. I turned 6, but my youngest, when she was maybe 18 months old, my oldest, when she was maybe 18 months old, when she could walk, but she couldn't talk yet. And I'm in my house chilling, and she comes running around the corner with a butcher knife, straight up butcher knife. And she's, yay, you know, running with the butcher knife. And I literally hit her with the exact same disarm that I would use on a grown man to take a knife away. I'm like, that's mine now. Cool. And of course, she just runs away like it's nothing. And I took like a month off my life, but it just occurred to me that she's like 1.5 feet tall. And if she just like come around the corner right then, like, come on, let's do it. Let's go. And since then, I've had a different relationship with gnomes.
So really, it's like there's a cutoff at the top and the bottom. Like once they're this short, they're fine. But if they got to be this tall to also be cool.
Right. There's a spread of menace, because you know because if they're too tall, they're just a small dude, and I'm not scared of you. So yeah, but it's like no, it's gotta right yeah. Right around knee and Achilles tendons height. You know?
God.
And I just like saying Sverfnabelin. And I like listening to Obo Lauren say Sverfnabelin. I don't know if she's in the chat. I'm gonna assume she is. I have to say her name 3 times. Yeah. It's just it's worth the price of admission to get her to say the word Sverfnabelin.
I will remember that for next week.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. We've got Arctic bandits. They're bandits. They're Arctic. I don't know what else you can say about that. We've got they're bringing in wolf dogs and mastis again, winter wolves again. Burning rats. Parentheses sucks for them.
You know, my favorite part about that note from Dylan is I wasn't clear on exactly who it sucks for. Does it suck for the rat because the rat's on fire? Does it suck for you because now you've got a rat that is on fire that wants to?
I mean, it depends on if the person that they're running towards is, you know, covered in oil.
It has layers.
Yeah.
Porque no los dos. Yeah. Yeah.
That would be a messed up encounter where like your players get covered in oil and then like flaming rats come running at them.
Yo, hey, you know, anybody that has read, you know, The Art of War knows that move, you know. That's back in the day, again, back in my day. there was a series of books called Grimtooth's Traps that were just terrible things you could drop into dungeons to torment your players, because many times in D&D the DM player relationship was, shall we say, adversarial back then. Things like you had a step on like a descending staircase where if you triggered the mechanism in the step, a saw came out and like cut that foot off. You know, but one of the ones that came to mind from this was you come into a room and there's a golem that is standing and it's oil. There's oil everywhere. So the first thing you have to try and do is keep your balance as you're making your way across this bridge, because everything's like slick and grimy and oil coated, and you have the golem, but the golem's made out of flint. So when you attack it, it sparks and sets the whole room on fire. Yeah. That's what this game used to be, you guys. That's what this game used to be. Yeah. It's yeah. Although if you could get your hands on Grimtooth's Traps, technically you could still make your friends hate you now. Using any of them.
You can still make your friends hate you.
I love the puzzly aspect of that. Like, these things will come together and something will happen. Like, I love that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's the only thing that happens is haha, screw you, because what's the way out of that?
Yeah.
Just don't burn.
Right. Yeah, love, you know? Yeah, right. Like somehow figure out that's what's going on and try and like grapple a greased construct, you know?
Take the treasure you've gotten so far, buy a farm, and retire.
That's how you get cow triple cheese.
Now my head just went to grappling with a greased up Chardalyn dragon.
Chardalyn dragon.
I said you got to try and find a way to tame it. You know, I don't know what the Chardalyn dragon's into.
Do you think the Chardalyn dragon is, for purposes of spell storage, many pieces of Chardalyn, each of which can be full of a spell, or one gigantic piece of Chardalyn with one gigantic spell? That is, be alive.
See, I feel like the be alive is the animating. That all the Chardalyn is loaded up with like be chonky dragon boy.
But is any of it decorative? Is any of it like possibly like you kick it and it makes a fireball?
I was about to say, is any of it not decorative? You know? Yeah. Like imagine if that's how its breath weapon works. Like it has to like break off one of its own scales and like light its tongue like whoosh. You know what I mean? And it goes off.
Breath weapon.
It has a radiant beam.
Ooh.
It does.
Yeah. It's got a Pokemon attack.
Yeah, it's not Godzilla. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not Mecha Godzilla.
Oh my god, that just blew my mind.
You're welcome. Thank you all for tuning in. Yeah.
So one of the other ones we got is a crazed, it's plural, crazed owlbears. Something is messing with the owlbears up in Icewind Dale. That's not nice. Don't do that to them. They'll throw owl pellets at you.
Well, or turn you into owl pellets.
Oh god. One brown moose. All of the other ones, there's been no numbers or anything. One brown moose.
So another thing that I learned recently that was a super mind freak was, moose swim. Moose are actually really great swimmers.
Yeah,
like they'll go out and they'll swim in the ocean. And orcas eat moose. Orcas, great, killer whales eat moose. Like they'll go out of their way to do it because even they're like, is that a moose? Which is funny because the moose are actually terrifying.
Yeah,
they're incredibly dangerous creatures. Like we laugh at them because of Bullwinkle, but like you wouldn't laugh when you saw a real moose.
I think it's, if you haven't seen an actual moose, it's hard to really wrap your brain around how big they are because you're like, oh, it's like a horse. Or a cow, right? Which are big.
Super
This
cow.
is even bigger.
Yeah.
And then also
Also, adding more to the Champions of Lore, I at first heard Orcus. So I was like, Orcus, like his favorite treat is moose?
He's waiting by the phone and he's so sad she hasn't called and he's just like, just eating a bowl of food.
but see that's where my mind went, that it's like somebody recommended moose, Mousse, because he's heartbroken, but what he took from it was Moose and just like murdered a moose.
It doesn't taste like chocolate.
Why doesn't she want me?
holding it by both antlers.
Yeah.
Do you remember,
Or orcas.
there was a 3.5 supplement, and I can't remember which one it was, but they had giants that looked like orcas. Like they could like shape change, but they also just like had that kind of orca pattern.
See, that just sounds like Street Sharks to me. I had that one.
Listen,
Deep
inspiration
cut.
comes from lots of different places.
Deep cut. Yeah, no, that's like oceanic giants was almost certainly a thing. Yeah.
Next
yeah.
week I'll go get the. I think I still have that one. I have a weird.
They're the wolves of
patchwork
the sea.
assortment. But I wonder if they.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't if you can? That's the thing. I think we've established it is a very like kill world. I mean, if Umber Hulks can eat blue worms, purple worms,
or blue worms, which are the underwater version. I think we have just now established that.
God dang it! It's gonna be on.
See, I was about to say,
especially. Oh my god, that's perfect because you lose colors as you go down. Right, you can't see red after about like I think it's like 20 feet, 40 feet. Like red doesn't get through the water.
Yeah.
So at the bottom of the ocean, purple doesn't look purple anymore.
He's not purple.
So,
see,
he's blue. He's actually.
You see what she just did there? That's, ladies and gentlemen, Erin M. There it is.
I do want to say, Erin, by the way, my wife fully appreciates every time that you do that, where you're just like, no, this is how it would evolve. Because I made her watch Starship Troopers for the first time a few weeks ago. She's in there like, now why would it evolve like that?
I love doing that. I love a lore hole. I love a point where it's like, oh my goodness, like two people took this thing and said, you know what would be cool? This. and now they don't agree, right?
Yeah.
And you have these two things, and for some people that's really frustrating. You want everything to agree. I'm like, no, that's where you get to make it agree because there's so many things that you could do just like fit in there. Or you could just, make up stuff. Like
yeah.
Like why blue worms
I
are
feel
super
like that,
logical.
I feel why again, they're the Vulcans to the purple worms Romulans, like they're embarrassed by their irrational cousins. Yeah. That yeah. Well, I also a lot of times I think that might have even been the origin of things like owl bears. Like back in the day, they were like, we need to have him attack a giant owl. No, a giant bear, giant owl, giant bear, owl bear,
owl bear, owl bear.
Yeah.
So we need to move over to the chat's questions, but before that, I do want to hit the last bullet point.
But so I was about to say you left out an important bullet point there that I believe you're about to hit.
We could do a whole episode off this one bullet point. We could riff for an hour just on this, which reads: T-Rex somehow apparently leading the kobolds. What?
That's what we decided. That's what we decided when we talked about this last time.
Oh, that's right. I forgot our own lore. Oh God.
Yep.
And then we put it on Twitter. It was a poll. People like the cold adapted T-Rex.
I love it. Oh yeah, that's where we got Sanosaurus Rex.
It has become canon now. See, that's it. That's how it happens, y'all. You watched it happen real time.
You were here for
we made up a thing
creation.
For the birth of the lore. We are all co-parents of the Tyrannosaur.
We expect to see
that
you
is in 10 towns
next
now,
year
leading the
birthday.
kobolds.
I also think is strongly supported by our Chult episode, where you pointed out like people are like, oh, you bring things to Chult, but like, why would you not bring dinosaurs other places? Because we were wondering, how did this dinosaur get there? And we had like a whole like, because they have bolos that they learned from Zakaran jungle giants, but maybe they've also brought a T-Rex, or maybe, who are we saying would bring the dinosaurs?
Who wouldn't?
That's a real question here. Like, but anyway.
See, in my mind, in my head canon, like Jarlaxle was smuggling one up the Sword Coast, and just past a certain point, it just wasn't worth the trouble, and just like shoved it out, like releasing a python. Yeah, releasing a python into a swamp in Florida and just destabilizing the entire ecosystem.
I'm now seeing this scene in my head, this T-Rex at night looking up at Jarlaxle on some floating airship. He's like, listen, I really liked you, but it was about the fourth crew member that you ate that it went a little too far. I hope the best of luck for you.
Yeah.
on, boy,
Yeah.
be free.
Yep.
All right, let's see what chat's got going on. Let's see.
Hi,
Obo
chat.
Lauren was first in here. Said the last year of WizKids has reformed the term mini. Obo Lauren says mini at this point just means not life-sized.
I mean, some of those things kind of are, like still, yeah.
Oh man. Garwar says for some reason now I want snowballs of healing. Could work.
Wait, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Shout out to our homie. Obo Lauren has joined the Idol Champions
Yes.
family as community manager for this
So happy.
very community. So there you go.
Thank you,
It's
guys.
again, I tell you, Lauren, like I told Todd, it's like it's wherever you go, I'll find you.
That that tweet nearly killed me.
I'll find you.
Oh my god. But yes,
Congrats.
Lauren, I'm so happy that you're gonna be the community manager for this. They are in for a treat. Gamer
True.
Cabot says dagger of reverse damage. It's pretty good. Garwar says I think this is in relation to Zardrock's off his Chardalyn. Every piece holds mending.
Ah!
That could be
Which
cool.
is interesting.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Tom Foley in the chat. Hey, Tom. It's just a collection of stones with major illusion in them.
It's all
You know
just
what's funny
steel.
that you just said that out loud? It's funny that you said that literally that's what I was thinking right then when he's like, it's just got mending in it. And I was like, what if it's just got illusion in it? This isn't even a thing. And then you just said it out loud. Yeah, exactly. It's all
Tom's
just
always
one
there
big
thinking-
program image.
That's why all of a sudden Chardalyn is extremely workable, right? It's not Chardalyn.
It's true.
It's not
just-
Chardalyn.
It's not
just-
Chardalyn.
That's
Just
its
like
secret. It's
steel
not
with
Chardalyn.
some illusion
It never
painted
was.
on.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It's so rare. Would you know? It's just like this like
Right?
shiny black construct that he's like, what's that made out of? He's like, Chardalyn?
I'm also now
You're
going to
like,
be
"Is
super
it?"
suspicious because Tom is my DM, so I'm going to be very suspicious of everything in tomorrow's game.
Rightly so. Detect magic, dispel magic. Detect magic, dispel magic. He's like, joke's on you. It's not made out of Chardalyn. It's a red dragon and heavy plate rolling in.
He got that Oblivion DLC for horse armor. Okay. This message from Garwar is directed towards something B-Dave said. That's it. Time to hit the gym so we can battle when cons come back. I shall not be insulted so.
Oh.
I would pay to see that. I would pay to see it.
It's just, I just feel like now it's the entire montage of Rocky IV, but he's Rocky and I'm the Russian, Yeah. The Garwar is just like lifting
Like
hitting
Garwar
sides
comes
of
out in
beef,
full
like
plate
lifting
metal.
kegs and stuff.
He comes out full plate metal B-Dave. I will break him.
I will break him.
Let's see. Then Master Burglar says, Lore versus Gar rap battle lore off. Okay.
It's true.
It's Garwar that's talking about the Chardalyn dragon having daddy issues. I mean, it's a dwarf dragon. Of course it's chunky. That is true. If a dwarf gonna make a dragon,
That is true.
makes sense.
I honestly wonder if that was part of the design consideration for it. I mean, these things don't happen in a vacuum, but somebody, even if they didn't say it out loud, was like, well, a dwarf built it, so it's gonna, be thick.
I'm gonna be honest though. I actually think you
Yeah.
hit the nail on the pin with the Godzilla thing. Because as soon as you said, I'm like, it looks like the newest version of Godzilla. It's got the radiant beam. It's 100% Godzilla, but with wings.
It's a legally distinct Mechagodzilla. Yeah.
Yeah.
A legally distinct Mechagodzilla.
Legal.
Just a side note. It's funny because I say that legally distinct thing, and it's funny. I was playing. We were doing Changeling, and I had them find a legally distinct acoustic spanner, and that's what I kept referring to it as a legally distinct acoustic spanner.
Oh,
Turns out the head of licensing for Doctor Who was in chat and watching the show, just randomly. I didn't know that. I just kept saying a legally distinct acoustic spanner.
That's why you do
And
it.
the person, that's why you do it.
That's
man.
why you do it.
That's why you do it.
Amazing.
You know, I'm like, you want some longevity in this game? I'm telling you, cover yourself. Yeah, they thought it was funny, and I'm like, no, it's funny because it's funny. But had it not been funny, it would have not been funny.
It would have not been real
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
that happened. That happened
Oh.
like a month ago. Yeah.
RoboGoblin 01 says, if there's no Duragar pronunciation in the show, is it even Champions of Lore? It's true. It's true.
Fair point.
I'm still on Dweegar, by the way.
Yeah, that's again.
I still say burger.
That's oh my god.
Best part about it is we figured out what it was,
We
and we
did!
still just all
It
defaulted
didn't-
back to what
it
we said in
didn't
advance.
push out
Yeah.
Okay,
the
I'm
other
gonna
one.
preface this chat with this is no promise that there will ever be Champions of Lore merch. However, if there is, we need a shirt that, you know, those ones that just names going down on white text, just all our pronunciations of Duragar. And my cat is trying to eat wires under my desk. This
That's
is
a
my
problem.
kitty. Hello.
Yep.
Kitty tax.
She was like, "What is happening?"
It's okay. And I appreciate you look right at the camera like they know.
Yeah, no, you're not getting this headphone cable. Anywho, let's see.
Intimately familiar with that.
Master Burglar says, question, will the lore crew ever go into Bailoff and his black pits? Probably. He's a champion.
Okay, so don't know if it's gonna line up because there's many moving pieces with Idol Champions Presents, but there's a chance that Mr. Mark Meir is going to join us at some point, and if so, we will talk about Bailoff the Entertainer. Yeah,
So,
can't promise, don't guarantee.
Yeah.
Dylan, don't hurt me.
To answer your question,
Maybe.
Maybe.
parentheses, Dylan, don't kill
Although I will say, if you've ever heard Bailoff talk about the fact that he has a Tarrasque in his pit, he got that Tarrasque in a game I ran for him.
Nice.
When we at Stream of Many Eyes in 2018, Bailoff the Entertainer ended up with the Tarrasque.
Oh
And
my
after
God.
that, he's like, I'm going to tell everyone from now on that Bailoff has a Tarrasque. And I'm like, no, that happened. That happened
It's
at
canon.
D&D
Right
Live.
there.
So it's canon. It's real.
I believe it. Let's see. Baby Lone Ranger 2261 says, carefully, carefully scritch the fragile Chonky Boy. Don't want to break it. You just gotta get the pets in there.
Sure. Well, especially because if you like crack a scale that has like
Oh my
explosive
God.
runes in it or something, where you're like click, 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 bang, and then it's mad, and you're mad, and yeah, just
It's not going well.
I gotta read this one. Let's see. Counting KU says Umber Hulks and purple worms bursting through the wall like Kool-Aid Man. Just a
Oh my.
purple worm covered in Umber Hulk. Oh yeah.
I mean, does it not sell itself? Does it not sell itself, dear friends?
I want to do it. If I ever run Mad Mage's Dungeon, it's happening.
I'm running that for my kids'
See-
D&D game right now.
Do it.
Here's the thing, Aaron, like real talk. I kind of know, I know the story of what's going to be happening in the stream, and I kind of know the act breaks, and I'm desperately looking for a place that I can fit in a purple worm covered Umber Hulks.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm on brace.
May or may not
Kevlar
happen in
would
Unfair
ever
Seas,
know
but it
anything about Umber Hulks.
Let me see.
Unless I make up a reason.
just give it a hug, you know?
Just give it a.
Try and wrestle with it.
Let's see. Imp in my head says mental image of a T-Rex with tiny arms and a giant parka.
Love it.
I was thinking little T-Rex mittens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
little T like
Yeah, we've done T-Rex
The-
mittens.
the
I know
little
that was a
mittens.
code once.
Sure was. Sure was. Yep.
All right. Well, I think that is gonna do it for this week's episode and for what chat's gotten to say to us. Aaron, B-Dave, where can people find you and what awesome things are you working on?
You can find me on Twitter at Erin M. Evans. You can find me on Wednesdays at 6:30 on twitch.tv/Dungeon Scrawlers. This week we have another in between episode of Feywild shenanigans.
Did I see something about Cat Thulu?
Yeah, our last 2 episodes we had a an audience goal unlock where because a similar thing happened, our DM's cat showed up and people were like, "Cats of Westgate," and we're like, "Okay, cool. If you guys put your coins in, we'll play a game where we're all cats." And they unlocked that in 1 episode. So yes, we all got turned into cats and we went to the Dreamland.
Yes.
It was very silly.
I love it.
You can watch those on our YouTube channel. And then starting on not Tuesday. Oh my God, what is a week? Next Monday, which is the 22nd, which starts with a T, which is why my brain went Tuesday for some reason. Here we are.
We got there.
Playing Havilar in The Unfair Seas, which I'm sure you can talk about better. And maybe you'll let some secrets go, some like hints about what I should be doing. Or maybe not.
Yeah, it's, you know, believe me, I was prepared to like sass you mercilessly if you didn't mention Idol Champions Presents during this, because last week we did Dungeon Drunks, which our episode is out, by the way. Erin, Mark Meir, and I were on Dungeon Drunks with Obolorn, and you should give it a listen because it was dope. With Freely, Havilar, and Bailoff the Entertainer, we're there with their group. And when Erin was mentioning the things she does, she did not mention Champions of Lore, and I'm like,
See,
Erin,
the thing is, like, on this show, I remember to say Dungeon Scrawlers. On Dungeon Scrawlers, I remember to say this show. But that was a different show. It had to say 2 things. And I was like, I don't remember how to introduce myself. Now I have to say another thing. I have to remember to say Unfair Seas, too.
This is why I just started saying go to my Twitter where all of my podcasts are, because if I sit here and name them all off, we'll be here forever. It's a problem.
This is the benefit.
Like, follow me on the Tweetagrams.
Tweetagrams.
Yeah, those are for the record. These are champagne problems. No one feels bad for us about that. Oh my God, I have like so many like shows and podcasts I'm on. It's like so hard to give all the names.
Oh my God.
Nobody feels bad for
This is the books. I just say the name of the series that I wrote that I'm best known for. I don't mention the standalone. I don't mention the titles because it's better to just hit the one thing. And for so long, I've had one thing in this other and now there's more things, and I have to learn how to do it better. So, anyway.
You have a number of things. At B-Dave Walters everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, everywhere fine streaming content can be located. The series finale of Dungeons & Dragons: The Darkened Wish airs this Sunday at 5 Pacific, which is on my birthday. So we're going to bid our babies adieu. My birdie. We're going to bid my babies adieu Thursday at 5. And if you know anything about me or that story, it is by no means guaranteed that they are going to have a happy ending, because that has not been their life so far. And join us next Monday at 4 Pacific for Idol Champions Presents The Unfair Seas. Of course, you should join us next Monday at 11 because we're going to be talking about all kinds of other interesting stuff. But the adventure begins properly. And then keep an eye on the Idol Champions socials this week. I'm sure they're going to be announcing the questions are going to go up. Our new guest is probably going to get announced. Maybe we're going to get some new art if Luke should be able to bless us. I say decide, you know, like I don't know, Lauren, you got some pull with the guy. Maybe he's gonna bless us with some new art, you know. Yeah, and looking forward to it. It's gonna be a grand old time.
Awesome. You can find me on the Difficulty Class podcast every Friday. You can find me on the Champions of Psychology stream on Tuesdays, same time, same place, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNEgames. And as Evil Emperor Zerg said in the chat, and I'm totally going to do it, Treavor Bettis is the Mark Shepard of podcast world, and I will take that, and my ego will be happy about it. I want to thank Jay for moderating in the chat as always and doing a fantastic job. Thank you to Codename Entertainment for letting us talk about some D&D. If you missed today's show, you can catch it later as a podcast on your favorite service at 2 p.m. There's also an extra code in there if you want some, free more stuff. And if you have any suggestions for future topics, you can send them into championsoflore@codenameentertainment.com. But yeah, also, if you were live with us, I believe Improvised Champions is still going on today. So come back at 1 p.m. for that. And yes, please be sure to come back next Monday, 4 p.m. for Idol Champions Presents. Is going to be a fantastic show. And please watch the socials and maybe help figure out what's going to be happening during it. Who knows? We'll see. Uh, but that is going to do it for this week's show. So until next week, champions out.